been caught about 50 times.
Hey everybody, Jordan Weeks from Biological Angler Productions coming to you with volume 13 of Whiteboard Muskies. This one's very similar to some of the videos I was doing last year. I'm going to talk about a fish catch that happened last October on Lake of the Woods in Canada. Talking about rock walls, and rock walls, when you consider rock walls, the depth of the water is relative. Some rock walls are very deep, 20 plus feet right off the edge of the rocks. Some are much shallower. I think it's more important to think about a rock wall and what it looks like to the human above the water surface when you see a sheer rock cliff or a rock wall extending down into the water. That's kind of what I would call a rock wall. What's underneath the water is really what's important though. And in my experience, generally most rock walls that don't have a rock pile or a tree or a log or a shallow zone along shore are really not very good for muskies, or at least not very productive other than the very ends of the rock wall. But if you're in the middle of a rock wall, it has to have a piece of structure to hold those fish. So the one I'm talking about in particular is shown here. The rock wall extends from this side over here down to this direction. On this rock wall there's a shallow portion that's approximately 3 feet deep. The rest of it right off the shore is about 6 to 8 feet deep, and that's this blue line out here. Also important to note, along this wall there's a couple of trees that extend out into the lake. There's a long one with a couple of underwater trees, and then a very short bushy one with another underwater tree. And typically when we're fishing this rock wall, that's the part between these two trees is where we encounter all the fish. Last year there was actually 6 fish on this spot, and we happened to catch 2 or 3 of the 6 while we were there during the week. Most of the time, like I said, the fish are associated with these structural elements with their trees, but never ignore these shallow water areas next to these rock walls. This one, in fact, held a couple different fish, and the biggest fish that we caught there during the week, my brother ended up cooking it. So typically what we're doing is we're going to come along shore and cast this structure. And much like other videos that I've shown, once we encounter a fish, we'll do a 360 maneuver with the boat, stay in that general area, drop a jig down, start jigging for that fish. But this particular fish actually ate on the figure 8 and took out a bunch of line right away. And that brings me to another thing that I'd like you all to consider when you're out there fishing. A lot of guys I know will tighten their drags down as tight as they can get them, and they think they need that extra torque to set the hook on a muskie. The last few years I've really been backing off on my drag a little bit because I've had too many experiences where you'll hook a big fish near the boat and immediately that fish bolts, and if you don't have any give and you can't get your finger on the spool to free spool, that fish will get off. It'll tear the hooks out and get away. And by backing off your drag just a little bit, you can allow that fish to take drag and still maintain control of the fish, and I've had much better success getting those fish in the net. So something to consider, back your drag off just a little bit and you'll see what happens here with my brother and this fish. Don't ignore those flat spots, the logs and pieces of structure on a rock wall. It's really pretty easy to find them. You can troll through and mark them with your sonar. You can just drive along the edge of them and mark them with your eyes, these flat spots, these shallow areas. Or you can just real quickly fish these spots to find out if there are fish holding structures on a rock wall. But if you find a rock wall around areas that you've been encountered other fish, make sure you check it out because they're fantastic areas to catch muskies. Thanks for watching. Eric, you got a fish coming. You see it? Got him? Eric, you got a fish coming. You see it? Got him? Get down in the water, all the way in the water, all the way in the water. Holy shit, he's big. He's on the motor. Throw it to the motor. You turn off the motor? Is he still there?
Yeah.
Oh, you got him off the motor.
Easier. I can't see anything.
He's going the other way. Easy. He's all wrapped up. Just don't pull hard.
You pull, they pull.
Yep. I gotta get up there now. Yep. You're gonna have to check your line. You are all up on the motor.
Oh, did you hear him just peel and drag?
Can you move that?
Didn't even see him eat the bait, Jordan. And all of a sudden it just went.
Yeah, well, I heard that.
Oh, what a fish.
Awesome, man.